It's Monday night, and here's what happened. A typhoon hit Alaska. It hit western Alaska and caused immense damage for rural communities. So far, we know that they have rescued 51 people and 2 pets, but rescue operations are still underway. I have not seen an indigenous-led organization that is doing the recovery stuff, so if you know who it is, please tag them in the comments. The government shutdown will continue as Speaker Johnson canceled another meeting with Democrats, saying that he will not negotiate at all on the Democrats' demands to maintain the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Governor Newsom of California signed a law today that will require social media companies to issue a health warning, similar to the one that you find on packs of cigarettes, against the mental health dangers of using social media. Remember a couple days ago when Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said, "No more fat troops"? Well, he apparently really meant that because he has dismissed several members of the Texas National Guard who were deployed to Chicago for not meeting the physical fitness standards. This dismissal came after this photograph circulated widely of Texas's National Guard showing up uninvited to Chicago. Today we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, and I found a really cool story about how Novo Nordisk and Newman's Own Foundation donated $720,000 to Indigenous organizations. The goal of this project is to fight against persistently high rates of food insecurity in tribal communities, but the way they divvied up the money is the most interesting part of the story. The company didn't send the money with a bunch of strings. They allowed the Indigenous organization to work with a group of 16 to 24-year-old participants to decide which 24 organizations should get the money. The Indigenous Tomorrow's Fund hopes that this exercise in allowing young people to make the decisions about where philanthropic dollars is spent instead of consultants will serve as a successful model for other charity organizations to follow. A new report on tipping says that the city where the tips are the best is Denver, and the generation that tips the most is the baby boomers. Donald Trump seems very worried still about not getting into heaven and is now invoking prosperity gospel, asking for donations to help him get into heaven. And we are talking even more about the history of the U.S. military relations with Qatar over on my Substack, including a timeline of how long we've been training with Qatar. It goes all the way back to 1991. We also talk about the number of universities that have created a Doha campus. We've trained Qatar on our Navy facilities since the early 2000s, Special Forces since 2016, and Qatar even has state partnerships to train with the National Guard in West Virginia. In addition, we just broke ground on a new training facility in Qatar for Space Force. Qatar has a long history of massive human rights violations, and while I don't personally travel to Qatar or Doha, that has not stopped a bipartisan supermajority of our leaders from working with them since the 90s. Buffalo Bills are kicking off in a couple of minutes. I wonder what the governor has to say about that.
Go Bills!